Hello all, I'm Marin. Welcome to another reading vlog. This is going to be another 24-hour timer challenge vlog. I did film one of these back at the end of 2024. I will link that up above. Basically, you set a timer for 24 hours and you read books until the timer runs out. This is not going to be 24 straight hours. This is going to be 24 hours over the course of a few days. And my goal for this vlog is to complete the 4 books from my June TBR that do not fit into any of my other reading plans for the month. So that's what we're gonna do in this vlog. So let's go ahead and go through what it is I'm gonna be reading. I will be referring to the prompts and things that they fulfill from my June TBR. I'll link that up above too if you wanna go back and look at that. But let's go ahead and chat a little bit. So the first one that I have here is Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. This was a community shelf prompt that gave me a cursive title. So there you go. I have not read anything by this author. This will be the first one that I read from her. I'm hoping I enjoy it, but I've heard that she has a tendency to include some tropes and things that a lot of people don't like. So we'll see what I think about this one. This is part of my summer TBR, so it's nice to kind of check this one off straight out the gate. The next book I have, I believe, was for a thriller spot, but I cannot remember. I think it was thriller, and that is going to be This Book Will Bury Me by Ashley Winstead. I am really excited to read this one. I have liked pretty much everything I've read by this author. This one fulfills, again, that thriller spot, but it is also a book on my 2025 TBR. So this will be another one. I do have an audio version of this, so I might do this one completely on audio. Haven't fully decided, but I can do audio on this if I would like. The next book is going to be a random read where I had to randomize my Goodreads TBR. It gave me All That's Left to Say by Emery Lord. So this was one, I think it's YA. It's a YA thriller or something like that. I'm curious about it. It sounds very interesting, so we'll see what I think, but this will be the 3rd book for this vlog. And finally, the last spot was a treat your shelf. So I was to go to the store and pick a new book, and I went ahead and picked up Spark of the Everflame by Penn Cole. I have heard a lot about this series. I have not read really any romantasy, which I believe is what this falls under, so I'm curious to see what I think about it. This book is really pretty. It has illustrated end papers, and then the front cover has this like pattern on it, which isn't really gonna show up. You can kind of see it. It actually has the title on here, Spark of the Everflame. So it's just a really nice hardcover book. Each of the chapters has this like tree image right here. So really pretty. Hopefully I will enjoy it. We will see how it goes. This one I am listening to on audio because my library had an audio version, so I went ahead and checked that out. This is the one that I'm going to start with, and basically I'm gonna set a timer for 24 hours and read as much as I can in that 24 hours. So that's what you're gonna see in this vlog. One other book that I would like to get to is the 42nd Nancy Drew book called The Phantom of Pine Hill. That one is gonna be an ebook. I read it online on Internet Archive. So hopefully those are the 5 books that I will get read, but the 4 that are actually on the TBR are these 2 and these 2. So these will be the focus, but I would love to get that Nancy Drew done as well, so I'm not having to carry it over into a new month. So that's what we're gonna do. 24 hours, 5 days to complete this. Let's get started. Hello all, let's go ahead and do our first timer check-in. As you can see, I am at 20 hours, 15 minutes. So almost 4 hours read. I have started listening to Spark of the Everflame. I'm not very far into it as of yet. I am currently on chapter 7, which is page 75. So it has an interesting start. I'll talk more about this one, I think, when I get maybe like 200 pages in. I feel like that might be a good check-in point. I think that's going to be kind of halfway. This book has 401 pages, so 200 will be the halfway point. That's when I'll come back and kind of chat with you, give you some thoughts. Probably actually 207 looking at this right here. But yes, that's when I will come and do an official check-in. I am planning on reading more of this today, but I have finished the 42nd Nancy Drew book, which is The Phantom of Pine Hill. This one, or Pine Hall, sorry, Pine Hall, I think. Anyway, I finished that one. I'm giving it 3 stars. Very typical Nancy Drew. I was a little concerned with this one though, because it does make mention of the indigenous population that lived in the area where they built Emerson University, which if you know the series, this is where Ned and his friends go to college. And Nancy, Bess, and George are traveling to Emerson for what they call June Week, which is like a whole week of like parties and stuff and events, like a pageant, a parade, a whole bunch of stuff going on. When Nancy, Bess, and George get there, they find out that their reservation either didn't go through at the hotel or was canceled, something. So they end up staying with an older gentleman who owns a house like nearby that does a lot for the university. Ned is very familiar with him. He takes the girls in and he proceeds to tell them about a mystery that is plaguing his house because he is having break-ins to his library, even though they have locked doors, windows, everything. Somebody keeps getting in and rifling through his stuff, and they find out that things have been going missing. So that's kind of your mystery. This ties into the mystery of a ship that sank in the tributary of the Ohio River, which is nearby this town, and a treasure that was potentially lost. So there you go. That's like the setup. It was fine, but as I said, with the mention of the indigenous people, I was a little concerned. Surprisingly, it wasn't handled terribly, although there are 2 instances that made me cringe a little bit. Ned and some other boys from his fraternity dress up as braves on a parade float, and Ned does this very kind of standard dialect, if you will, for indigenous people. Think of like Peter Pan, that type of thing. So that was not done the best either, but obviously this book was published in 1956, so some of that is to be expected, but just want to kind of give a heads up. I was surprised though that it wasn't handled as terribly as other issues of race have been handled in these books. So, you know, credit to that, I guess. But overall, the mystery was just fine. It is very obvious who the bad guy is, like from the get-go. The author might as well have put like a sign on this character because it's so obvious that this character is going to be the one that is causing all of this mischief. There were a decent amount of questions and things that needed to be answered in terms of how this person is getting into the house. Because the housekeeper thinks that they can go through walls, they are dubbed the Phantom, which is where the title comes from. All in all, fine, decent way to spend a few hours. You know, not my favorite Nancy Drew, but not the worst. So 3 stars for that one. That one's done, which means I am officially caught up on Nancy Drew's, which is what I wanted. So I'm going to focus solely on Spark of the Everflame now until this one is finished. And like I said, once I get to like page 200 or so, I will come give you some thoughts and we will see where the timer is at that point as well. All right, y'all, here is our timer check-in. 16 hours, 46 minutes left. I am over halfway through Spark of the Everflame, so I wanted to go ahead and share some initial thoughts and things like that. I am enjoying this thus far. I have been doing kind of a combination of reading it physically and then listening solely to the audiobook, and both ways are fine. This book reminds me of 3 books that I have previously read, and I know that it's kind of hard nowadays to be very original with the entirety of your story, but I definitely feel like there is a sharing of tropes, plot points, whatever, in kind of this genre. So the first one that this book reminds me of heavily is Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. Now, I really liked the first book, did not like the second book, and DNF'd the third, and therefore the series. So the fact that it's drawing correlations between them is a little concerning because I did not like where Red Queen went. I don't think that that's where this one is headed, but just kind of wanted to throw that out there. The way that it makes me think of Red Queen is because you have two separate classes of people, basically. So in Red Queen, you had the Reds and the Silvers. In Spark of the Everflame, you have the Descended and the Mortals. Our main character in this one, Diem, has been raised in the mortal world, and she views the Descended as horrible people, much like in Red Queen, the views that the Reds have regarding the Silvers, and for very good reasons. So the other reason that this makes me think of Red Queen is that there is an underground movement that is trying to overthrow like the ruling class, much like Red Queen, and the relationships make me think of the book as well. So she's got very similar vibes to Red Queen. So I'm hoping that this one goes in a direction that that one did not, because as I said, I didn't love the Red Queen series. So just want to throw that out there. Very much makes me think of Red Queen. There are also some things that make me think of The Selection by Kiera Cass in terms of the main character who's probably going to be torn between her childhood friend turned Moor and the prince. So we have that kind of trope going on as well. And then it also reminded me of the Hunger Games in the description of the Descendeds cities and fashion and things like that. It was that very over-the-top fashion sense that you saw in like the Capitol in the Hunger Games. So just wanted to throw that out there. Those were like what popped into my head as I was reading this. There are just a lot of similarities between this and other books that I've read. So hopefully this will go its own way. As I mentioned before, I've not read a lot of romantasy, so I'm hoping that this is a little bit more unique, and I'm curious to see where it goes. So I'm hopefully going to finish this today. I don't have very much left. I'm on page 278, which is chapter 23. There are 30 chapters plus an epilogue, I believe. 32 chapters plus an epilogue. And then there's like a bonus chapter that comes from Prince Luther's POV at the very end as well. So I'm almost done with this. I do think I can finish this today easily and then move on to another book. So once this is done, I will come back and give you full thoughts, let you know if I'm planning on continuing the series. Right now I am curious about it, so I'm tentatively planning on continuing the series, but I also know that the fourth book has been delayed like for years at this point, as the book went from self-published to a big publisher. So, you know, that's going to kind of impact whether I devote my time to this as well. The fourth book hopefully will be published next year in 2026. So hopefully that's going to actually be the case, because I do not want to get caught up in a series that does not have like a definitive finale, if you will. So anyway, yes, going well. I'm enjoying it. Just very reminiscent of other things that I've read, as I feel like probably a lot of romantasy is. So that's not necessarily like a mark against it, but I just wanted to give that little update. So now I'm going to stop talking, get back to reading, and I will come back and let you know once I am done. Hello all, it has been several days since I last talked to you. I have quite a few reading updates to share. So let's go ahead and start off with Spark of the Everflame. I have finished this and I'm giving it 4 stars. While it definitely reminds me of other things that I've read, which I've already talked about, I do feel like this is a unique enough story on its own to keep me interested and invested in the rest of the series. So I do plan on reading book 2. This ends on quite the cliffhanger. And then there's like a reveal that, if you have any sense, unlike our main character Diem, who is not the brightest at times in this book, kind of, I guess, willfully blind to things that are going on. That part is not a twist, but the actual ending, I guess, is definitely a twist. So kind of gets you wanting to read the second book. As I said, this won't be like a high priority series because the fourth book is not out yet. Hopefully it will actually be coming out next year, and then I can just go ahead and finish the series off. But I thought this was a good start. I enjoyed it. I'm giving it 4 stars, and it was a nice kind of introduction to, I guess, romantasy as a genre. The one thing I do wish is that the world building was a little bit better. There were like chunks of text where Diem is like recounting stories and things, and that is what is supposed to get the reader to understand the world, but I want them to show me, not tell me. So hopefully we'll see a little bit more of that in the next book. I don't know, but I did still enjoy it. I gave it 4 stars. And then I started reading this book, Will Bury Me by Ashley Winstead, which I have actually also finished. So as I said, it's been a few days. Now, this book follows Jane. And after the unexpected death of her father, Jane kind of finds solace, comfort, if you will, in like an online crime community. Not Reddit, but something similar to Reddit. Reddit is also mentioned like in this book, but she meets them on like a forum, if you will. And she gets drawn into the murder of a local woman to her, and she plays a role in bringing that killer to justice, and that kind of kicks off her crime-solving career, if you will, for lack of a better word. And she becomes good friends with 4 other people. They kind of form their own little close-knit community inside this larger community, and they then turn their attention to the murder of some college girls at the University of Northern Idaho, okay? The actual sorority murders that you are probably familiar with took place at the University of Idaho. So she's drawing on real life events, and she just does it with like a little bit of a twist. So that was kind of, I don't know, maybe a little off-putting to me to take like the real things and then base this like fake story around that. But I don't know, I have not really sorted out my full feelings on that. So I didn't love that. And I also just think this book is too long. This is kind of the same complaint that I had with whatever Lane Fargo's 2025 release was. You're looking at the cover. That book, I also am in the minority, but I thought it was too long and parts of it were boring, okay? And that is my complaint with this one. It's too long, and because in this case, we are only getting Jane's narration, so she is telling us this story in the form of a tell-all book, but because of that, we only have her narration, and it became very repetitive, which made things a little slow. Had I not been listening to this on audio, I think I would have struggled to get through portions of this because it felt like the pace was not the most well done. Like we would have moments where things would happen and then we would really slow down. I saw someone put this as like a slow burn thriller, and I guess yes, but the pacing didn't work for me. So I found parts of this to be too slow and too boring, and the book itself is too long. This could have easily cut out maybe like 50 pages and been fine. Now, when I tell you the page count, you'll think kind of, oh, it's not a terribly long book, but much like with this one, even though this was just over 400, it took forever to get through on the audio, not because it was slow, but because there were a lot of words on the page. This one doesn't really have a lot of words on the page. This one has 441 pages, but I just felt like it took a long time to get through this. So yeah, that would be my one complaint. There are some twists and turns in here that had me kind of on the edge of my seat and guessing. I did not guess like the twists of this book, so I appreciate what she does with that. I've always kind of found those to be really good in her writing, but this is the first one that I'm not giving 4 stars. I'm giving it 3. I thought it was a good book, but it was not a great book. So I'm a little disappointed because I was really anticipating this one. This is on my 2025 TBR. But yes, I did read it and I'm giving it 3 stars. So 2 books done in their entirety since the last time I talked to you. Now, let's do a quick timer check-in. Okay, we are at 5 hours and 56 minutes and 38 seconds. I did start the audio of All That's Left to Say, right? Yeah, All That's Left to Say by Emery Lord. This one is following a girl named Hannah. Hannah has done something at the start of the book to set off the fire alarms or something like that at her senior prom. But she's done it because of something surrounding the death of her cousin, Sophie. Okay, so I am not far into this yet at all. I think I am, okay, I'm at like page 28, so I've barely started this. Okay, this one has, let me see how many pages. We've got 372 pages, and as you just saw on the timer, I have a little under 6 hours. So I'm not sure that I will be able to finish this in those 6 hours. I am listening on audio, but this is going to probably be the final book of this vlog. So I will go ahead and finish this, give you full thoughts and things like that, but this one's gonna be it. So I am not going to be able to finish this TBR in this video, which I kind of saw coming with how long it took me to read these two. So I'm not completely surprised, but it is kind of a bummer that I'm not going to be able to finish that final book. We are down to like the final few days of June, so definitely running out of time to finish this June TBR, but you know, it is what it is. I will come back and chat with you, I think at the 100-page mark, to give you like some initial thoughts and things like that here. 100 pages, 102 pages actually, will put me at what they've called September of senior year. So this book is divided into Hannah's senior year and her junior year, and we're kind of flashing back and forth. So September of her senior year is where we will be. It'll be right here, and when I get there, I will come back and share some initial thoughts and let you know how the book is going. But this will most likely be the last book of this vlog, so let me stop talking and let me get back to reading. Okay, y'all, change of plans. I am actually going to be DNFing all that's left to say. I've gotten to page 142, and there are a couple of things that I'm just not jiving with, but one thing that I think is really impeding this story is the dual timelines. So we have a timeline set in Hannah's junior year, which is right after the death of her cousin Sophie. And then we have a timeline in senior year when Hannah decides to pretend she's not who she actually is and attend Sophie's school to sort out what happened to her cousin. So because the timelines are both narrated by Hannah and they feature the same characters, it is very difficult to keep track of what timeline you're in, even if you pay close attention to whether it says junior year or senior year at the start of a chapter. So I'll give you an example. Like it says the month and then junior year, and then that is immediately followed up by the same month and senior year, and it's just very confusing. So I'm not liking that. I think the dual timelines were put in there because the author was trying to lean more into like the thriller mystery trope, which the synopsis kind of talks about, but that is not what this is. So this is about Hannah, who is trying to figure out who gave her cousin Sophie the pills that she overdosed on and ultimately resulted in her death. Instead of just accepting the fact or, you know, moving towards acceptance of the fact that her cousin was an addict, she is trying to put the blame of Sophie's death on someone else, when that's not what this is. This is not a murder mystery, even though the synopsis wants us to think that it's a murder mystery. Her cousin was addicted to painkillers, and it ultimately caused her death. So I think had this book been more about Hannah's coming to accept Sophie's death and work through the different stages of grief, I think this would have been a much more impactful and, I don't want to say worthwhile, but for me personally, worthwhile read. As it stands right now, this is just basically rehashing the same thing in both timelines, and it's just dragging out a plot that I don't think needed to be a part of this. So I'm DNFing and calling it quits. I just was not jiving with this at all, which means I will be finishing, or at least using the rest of the time on the timer to read every summer after. And if I need longer than what the timer has, I will go ahead and finish this in the vlog. I'm not sure how long this will take me to get through. It is not super long, but that doesn't mean anything. It's got 304 pages, so I could fly through it or it could take me a while. So I'm gonna use the rest of the time on my 24-hour timer to read this, and then I will go ahead and finish it. So I'm gonna do 100 pages thereabouts. Let's see where this chapter actually ends. Okay, I will do 108 pages, which will be chapter 8, and I will come back and give you some initial thoughts. So this is gonna be what I'm actually reading to finish out this vlog, rather than this one, because this one just was not working and I honestly wouldn't recommend it. So there you go, that's my little reading update. I will see you with an update on this one when I have it. Hello all, I have a reading update for Every Summer After. I'm actually over halfway through now. I'm on page 187, which is chapter 12. So I only have this little bit left. It should get done today. But yeah, I don't know that I have that many thoughts about this, if I'm being honest. So we are following Persephone, who goes by the nickname Percy. Percy and her family used to go to a cabin on a lake. There she meets Sam and they become like best friends. And then as time goes on, they turn into more. This book is divided between then chapters and now chapters. Percy had not talked to Sam in 12 years at the now timeline, if you will, because of something she keeps hinting at but has not actually admitted to doing. So she broke them up, but she hasn't yet revealed the reason why she broke them up, if that makes sense. So she and Sam are reconnecting a little bit, and they are there because there has been a death and she is there for the funeral. So that's kind of what brings her back to the lake and Sam. So the chapters that I think I'm enjoying the most are actually the then chapters, kind of talking about their growing up together. It started off with her meeting Sam for the first time, and then it goes through like 17 years ago, 16 years ago, 15 years ago. So the then chapter that I just finished, they are 16 and they have kissed for the first time, and that's kind of where I've stopped. So I don't have a ton of thoughts. There are some humorous things, like there's some nice banter and there's a good sense of humor in the writing, but I'm not solely connected to really anyone yet. I do like Sam a lot, but yeah, that's kind of my thought. So I don't have much of this left. If we do our timer check-in, you can see I'm at 53 minutes, so I will need longer than that to finish this book. I think Audible, which is what I'm listening to this book on, says that I have 2 hours and 10 minutes left of the audiobook, and I believe that it calculates it out based on the speed that you're listening to it at, which I'm listening at 1.8. That's kind of my sweet spot when it comes to audiobooks. So yeah, this should be done today. However, I am getting some kittens today, 2 kittens. We are going to pick them up after my mom gets off work so that we can bring them home, and I'm very excited. So I will share a little bit of that in this vlog, I think. This vlog was actually supposed to go up today, but things have gotten a little chaotic with trying to get my current room ready for the kittens, because the house that I'm moving into is not quite ready yet, but it's getting there. We're close. So yes, anyway, that's a little update. I will share a little video of them once I've brought them home. I'm getting 2 of them, and I do have their names picked out and all that, so you can stay tuned for that once I bring them home. But yes, that's kind of my update on this, my little life update. I need to run out and take some books back to the library. I need to go feed the cats that are living at the other house, and I need to pick something up from the pet store before I bring my kittens home. So that's my little update. I will see you probably when I finish this. I'll go ahead and give another update, and then of course I will share the kittens. So I will see you then. Hello all, a few updates. If you hear scrabbling around, that would be the kittens, but let's first talk about Every Summer After, because I did finish the 24-hour timer. I would say I had maybe like an hour and a half left of the book when the timer went out, but I did finish this on the day that I got the kittens, who are now looking at me like I'm crazy. So I'll introduce them in a minute, but let's talk about this. So I am giving this book 3 stars. There were parts of this that I really, really liked, and then there were parts that I really, really did not. And I would say my biggest complaint is that there's like this reveal like 2 chapters before the end, 3 chapters before the end, and I just felt like what happens in that reveal was very out of character for everyone involved and did not make a whole lot of sense in my opinion. So I didn't love that. I also did not love adult Percy. I liked the then chapters more, but even those, as it got to that reveal, kind of stopped working for me the same way they had at the start. So I just was not a huge fan of the overall book, but I'm still glad that I gave it a read, and I am very curious to read her recent release because that's like a sequel to this one. It has to do with the other brother that we meet in this book. So I probably will check that out and kind of let that be the deciding factor whether I read more from Carly Fortune or not. But this one is done. 3 stars, and while it is July, so I did not finish this in June, it is at least complete. This book is on, I should say, my summer TBR, which I still have not filmed the video for, and I'm not sure that I'm going to, but it is nice to kind of cross that one off. So that's done. Now let me see if I can entice the kittens to come out and meet you guys. Okay, they are playing, but this is Sage. Sage is an all black baby. We do not know if Sage is a boy or a girl because of all the black fur in their nether regions, but I will let you know once I take them to the vet. Hopefully the vet can give me a definitive answer. They are both very sweet. I would say Sage is more of the cuddler, and when they get tired, they like to kind of curl up next to me. They are siblings, so Sage is this one. I'll introduce Clover in a minute. They are 7 weeks old, and they are my new babies. So this is Sage. Sage is my all black baby. This is Clover. Clover is a calico, and she is, I would say, a little bit more feisty than Sage. She's also slightly smaller, so I do kind of wonder, because cats can actually get pregnant more than once, so I do kind of wonder if maybe she was like a second pregnancy, so maybe she wasn't as full term as Sage, because there's a decent difference in their size, but they are both eating really well. So yes, I am hoping to get them into the vet this week to get their first set of vaccines and things like that, but those are my new fur babies, and you will probably see more of them in videos as we go, but I figured I would go ahead and introduce them here since I did mention them. But I have been packing things up, so I don't have like all the books from this vlog, but I did finish my June TBR with the exception of 1 book, I think. 1 book. And that will be coming in a different vlog. The kitties are quite a lot of work. They require a lot of attention. So my reading's not been great since I picked them up. But yes, I will do my best to bring you a few more vlogs. I'm working on a themed vlog right now that is taking forever. I actually started it back in May and I'm still not done with it. So that will probably be the next vlog that you see. But in the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and sign off for this 24-hour timer challenge vlog and get back to playing with my kitties. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel if you would like to see more from me. If you made it to the end of this video and would like to leave an emoji to show that you were here, you can leave me any type of summer related emoji for this book right here, since this was the last one that I read, and I will see you in my next video. Bye everyone.